What's up, guys? If you are buying a home for the first time, or maybe you're buying a home for the first time in a long time and you've kind of forgotten about that whole process, listen up in this video. I've got a treat for you. I'm going to give you some tips and advice to help you save some money and also to hopefully help to avoid you making mistakes in the home buying process. Buying that house, yes, it's a huge deal. For most of us, when we purchase a home, it's going to be the largest asset that we own. So it's a big deal, right? It's a big purchase. It can be very emotional, but you have to remember, y'all, you got to remember to look at the facts and don't let the facts get in the way of how you're feeling emotionally, okay? And that's where your realtor can come in as well to help kind of separate the emotional part of it, and let's look at the facts and figures. My name is Stephen Kodabash. I'm a realtor located in the northern Atlanta area, and I get to help people buy and sell houses every day. When you're going to go buy that first house, first and foremost, please, 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 if you forget anything that I talk about in this video, remember this: do not buy more than you can afford. Once again, do not buy more than you can afford. I know it's very easy to walk into a house and you get all emotional about it, right? You say, oh, these finishes are so great. It's got a cute little backyard and whatever else is going on in the home, right? Well, at the end of the day, don't forget, what's your budget? What's the price of that home? How will it fit into your monthly budget? Here's something to remember. Here's a good rule, so write this down. Remember the 28-36 rule. That home, from a monthly budget standpoint, your mortgage should not be more than 28% of your taxable income. So in case your mind was wandering there and you just kind of lost train of thought there for a second, let me repeat it. Your monthly mortgage should not be more than 28% of your taxable income for the month. That will help you be smart with your money and not be stressed out, right? And not trying to sit there and beat your head against the wall and think, how in the world am I going to make this monthly payment? That's the 28 part of the 28-36 rule. The 36 part is the cost of that home should not be more than 36% of your overall debt, your total debt. So that's obviously a big picture number, doesn't really factor into your monthly budget number, but just remember that 28-36 rule, because for my clients, the last thing I ever want for them is to get into a mortgage and then they're stressed every single month and they're trying to figure out, how the heck am I going to make that payment? And then you're miserable. So number one, first and foremost, do not buy more than you can afford. Y'all do me a favor and hit the like button and hit the subscribe button for me. You're so awesome. Number two, check for issues on your own. Now, yes, absolutely. Please get a home inspection. You'll have our professional come in and he or she will take a look around the home and they'll find some big items potentially, right, that could be wrong with the home. So that's very important. But hey, don't just rely on that home inspection. Kind of use some common sense yourself. Walk through the house. More importantly, here's a good tip. Go to the house when it's raining. Go through the home when it's pouring rain outside, because I'll tell you what, if it's pouring down rain outside and if there's a leak issue anywhere in that home, more than likely it's gonna pop up when it's pouring down rain outside. So go take a look around when it's raining and see what you see inside the home. As I mentioned before, just use common sense. Don't just rely on that home inspection. You go around yourself, along with your realtor, or along with a trusted friend, a family member, whoever, and you guys put multiple sets of eyes on that house. Take a look around, see if you see any items that may cause concern to you. And if you see some items, make sure you jot them down. And what you can do is, when the home inspection comes up, you can talk to that inspector before the inspection. Say, hey, look, I was at the house, I took a look around on this day, and I saw this item, that item, and that item that might be a flag in my mind. You take a look at it as well, take a deeper look for us and see what you think. So if you do more homework like that on the front end, kind of helps the whole process go along a little smoother, and it also helps you to uncover potentially any issues that you could find on that property. Number three, take that commute into account, y'all. And look, going back to my previous comment, don't get caught all up in the emotion of the home, how pretty those finishes are, how awesome that backyard is, and all the other things, that the bells and whistles that are in that home. You got to take a step back, think about real things, right? Think about things that are going to happen every day in your life, such as potentially a commute to work. It could be a hidden expense that you're not thinking about. So if you find a home that maybe it's a little further away and you got to sit there and think, hey, do I want to spend one way in the car? Do I want to spend 45 minutes or an hour? I don't know, hour 15 one way in the car every single day, and then I got to make that commute back home. You got to kind of think real life and think about how you'd feel about spending that much time in the car. So don't just jump all over that house because the bells and whistles look all awesome and they're just staring you in the face and you just can't get over how incredible this house is. Think about the logistics behind the day to day and consider that commute. I know some folks that had a very long commute, an hour and a half commute one way, and they thought they could do it, right? They thought they could just stick it out and deal with it. Well, hey, guess what? After about a year or so of it, they said, heck with that. I can't do this anymore. And they had to sell the home and move. So don't forget about that commute. It's a big deal. Here's a big one. Don't forget about those additional costs that are associated with your mortgage every month. If you're online plugging numbers into a mortgage calculator, everybody's going to look at principal and interest. But hey, guess what? Don't forget about property taxes and homeowners insurance. Yeah, for real. You got to pay that too. So property tax, homeowners insurance, that all factors into your mortgage as well. Depending on where you're at in the country, depending on the price of your house, those numbers can wildly fluctuate. So I don't even want to throw something at you and say, hey, yeah, plug this in, plug that in, because it will vary greatly. But just make sure you're talking with, whether it be your lender or maybe your trusted realtor, and you guys sit down and figure out a guesstimation, right? Yeah, I guess that's a real word, guesstimation of what property taxes are going to be every year and then what home insurance will be every single year, because those are additional expenses that are associated with your mortgage that you want to make sure that you don't forget about. Last tip for you here, do not settle for any house and Last tip for you here, do not settle and make a list when you're going through the entire process. I say do not settle because, as I mentioned before, the house that you're going to buy is probably the largest purchase you're ever going to make. So it's a big deal. It's going to be an asset that you'll own that carries a big value, right? And it's something that hopefully one day you'll hang on to and you'll see some appreciation in value and you can sell it and make some money. So it's an investment. It's an investment. So don't settle for just anything, but make a pros and cons list. So when you're going through this list, I tell people, look, very, very, very rarely, okay, do I ever see a perfect house for anyone. So you go through a pros and cons list for the homes that you're looking at, and you'll see there's going to be a lot of pros, and for almost every single home, there are going to be some cons too. So you've got to go through that list and you've got to weigh it all out. Can you live with the cons in this property? Or are there way too many cons in this property and it's not the one for you? Of the pros, which ones are deal breakers for you, right? You might have 3 or 4 items in a list of pros that you have to have and that you're not willing to give in for anything else, right? So anyways, you got to make sure that you look at that pros list, look at the cons list, and figure out what you can and can't live with. If you make a list like that and really sit down and think it through, kind of helps you to get a picture of the entire situation so that you can make a good decision on the purchase of that big asset. Hey, before you hop off my channel and go anywhere, do me a favor. Take a look at a video that I published here on my channel where I talk about HOA fees. You might be thinking, what the heck is HOA? HOA is Homeowners Association. If you move into a neighborhood with an HOA, there are rules and guidelines that you have to follow. And there's also an HOA fee associated with that association too. So check out that video so you're not caught by surprise when you move into that neighborhood and someone says, oh yeah, you got to pay HOA fees, and oh yeah, the HOA, you can't do this or you can't do that. So check out that video next. I think we can all agree that buying a home is a big decision, right? It's a huge decision. So I put this video together not to scare you, but to make you think through a few of the details that you need to make sure that you think about when you're getting ready to buy a home. Purchasing a home is the American dream, right? It's the American dream, and it's a great decision, and I'm so excited for the folks that jump into it for the first time. Maybe you've been renting for years and you have a chance now to purchase a home. So it is a big deal, but just make sure you follow this advice. And look, if you have any other questions about that home buying process, if I can help you out in any way, comment below this video, reach out to me via text, via email, give me a phone call. I'd love to talk to you. I'll catch you on the next video.